And I would actually put the ask out to Darlene to please resign.
Tonight on 3News, the Greens plead with MP Darlene Tana to leave Parliament after she's forced to quit the party over an investigation into migrant exploitation. Lulu Sun makes history, becoming the first Kiwi woman to ever make the singles quarterfinals at Wimbledon. Despite moves to freshen up Kāinga Order, good tenants are still complaining about their problematic neighbours. And an exclusive interview with Team New Zealand boss Grant Dalton in Barcelona for an update on how their new boat is going on the water. No mai, haere mai, welcome to 3News. Please resign. Green co-leader Chloe Swarbrick made an extraordinary public plea to embattled MP Darlene Tana today to resign from Parliament. Tana has agreed to resign from the Green Party. It follows an investigation into her involvement in alleged migrant exploitation at her husband's bike business. Now, Stuff broke the story back in March, and the resulting investigation raised enough questions for the Greens to conclude Tana's conduct had fallen far short of the party's values. Our senior political correspondent Jenna Lynch has the story.
Please resign.
Chloe Swarbrick can't get an answer out of Darlene Tana, so is taken to publicly begging.
The ball is presently in Darlene's court, and we continue to reiterate to her that she should resign.
The investigation into Tana's involvement in allegations of migrant exploitation was handed to the party late Friday night.
The content of the report is such that it is crystal clear to myself and Marama that Darlene Tana's behaviour falls far short of our expectations of any Member of Parliament.
The allegations were broken by Stuff in March. A worker came forward claiming he was owed $25,000 in missing wages by Tana's husband's company, Bikes and Beyond, and multiple cases had gone to the Employment Relations Authority.
I don't know nothing.
Tana worked for the company until 2019. Workers claimed she had further involvement subsequent to that and was involved in the alleged exploitation. Tana's husband, Christian Hoff-Nielsen, denied the claims in March.
She's had nothing to do with the business for many, many years.
Tana and Hoff-Nielsen were not at home nor at the business when we visited today.
Wondering if Darlene was here.
The Greens haven't released the report, but complainants have seen it. Stuff's Steve Kilgallen, who broke the story, understands it states Tana was involved in her husband's bike business long after her resignation in 2019.
I understand that the substance of the report is broadly similar to the things I was reporting on back in March and April. And a lot of this stuff was hiding in plain sight. The two ERA decisions were public record.
As the investigation rolled on, more allegations rolled in, including from Chuck Simpson.
They just, promised me, the world, and within 6 to 8 weeks, everything was pretty much the opposite of what they said.
He worked for Tana and her husband back in 2019.
It was, probably the most horrible part of the time that I've been in New Zealand, for sure.
He won an ERA ruling in December 2023 and was paid back most of the money. And despite apprehension about the neutrality of the report, feels vindicated by its findings. He says back their version of events.
Our story stayed consistent. We had, text messages, emails, and we had evidence. But Darlene and her husband didn't have any evidence. Their stories changed.
The Green Party seemingly had the same issue.
It is our view that Darlene Tana has been far from forthright or upfront with us. I feel utterly betrayed.
Chuck Simpson says now Tana must resign.
She should definitely resign from Parliament, but she should also come out and just kind of own it.
We are hoping that Darlene does the right thing here and resigns as a Member of Parliament. If she does not do that, then further discussions will ensue.
People need to know is that, they have hurt people, and for her to stay, as an MP and go with another party or be an independent, to me would just be the worst thing for the New Zealand, Parliament.
We're yet to hear Darlene Tana's take on that.
Well, OK, Jenna, we've just received a statement from Darlene Tana. Is she staying or going?
Yes, we have received a statement, and in no way does it address whether or not Darlene Tana intends to stay or go. In the statement, she says she did receive a copy of the report on Saturday morning and then attended the caucus meeting. She says she feels that at that caucus meeting, her fate was predetermined before the party had heard from her. She also says she feels that natural justice has not been followed throughout this process. She doesn't accept the findings of the report and has concerns about the way that it substantially misrepresents the level of her involvement in the business. She said this was an investigation into what she knew and when she told the party leadership what she told the party leadership. She's therefore deeply concerned by the party's summary of findings. The report doesn't say, she says, that migrant exploitation has occurred, let alone that she's responsible for it. So not going down without a fight. The Greens still do have an option on the table if they want to get her out of here through the waka jumping legislation. Now, it was worth noting that the Greens are vehemently opposed to that piece of legislation. Their former co-leader, James Shaw, even called it a dead rat that they had to swallow, but Chloe Swarbrick did not rule that out today. It is still an option on the table, and that should speak volumes.
OK, Jenna, ngā mihi, thanks so much. It's been hailed as one of the biggest wins in New Zealand tennis history. Lulu Sun has become the first Kiwi woman to make it through to the singles quarter-finals at Wimbledon after victory over local favourite and former US Open champion Emma Raducanu. Sun was born in Te Anau but was representing Switzerland. Fortunately, she switched back to New Zealand in March before emerging as the rising star of the Grand Slam. Lucy Thompson has more.
Match point.
A moment to savour for Kiwi qualifier Lulu Sun.
No, she has it. And now we see what it means, because Lulu Sun is living the same dream that Raducanu once did. The qualifier moves on, the qualifier through to the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam.
The hard-fought three-set victory over Great Britain's Emma Raducanu, culminating in tears of joy for the world number 123.
I'm just incredibly, I don't even have the words right now, but I'm just...
The little-known Kiwi flying the flag for our tiny tennis nation, becoming the first New Zealand woman to play on the famed centre court.
Walking through towards the centre court, I was like, wow, I've never seen this. And I was just like looking around and taking it all in.
So too was the small South Island town of Te Anau, where it all began.
We've lent our son to London at the moment to shine on Wimbledon. We're left with a gloomy, foggy day, but the mood's anything but gloomy over here.
It's been an amazing run for Lulu. It's kind of blown us away in the wee town. It's just awesome to see it. Proves you can make it from anywhere.
And the club's confident she can make it all the way.
Hopefully, if all the stars align, we'll get her back here at the end of the year. I'd like to see this Wimbledon trophy she might be able to bring along, and hopefully an Olympic gold medal as well.
A sentiment shared by Tennis New Zealand, who Sun thanked after the match.
It's really just, it's groundbreaking for us. I mean, the opportunities now for us to, I guess, help promote tennis and work with coaches and clubs around New Zealand to get more Kiwis out there. I know Lulu sort of said that was a big reason why she wanted to play for us, was to help and inspire some young Kiwis to pick up the game, and I think she's already done that with her performances.
Sun will now look for an 8th consecutive victory at the tournament as she continues her rise and to rewrite history.
The man who allegedly tried to stop people rescuing his 3 children who died in a house fire in Sydney has been identified as their father, Dean Heisman. Police say Heisman fought off police and neighbours as they tried to pull the children to safety, dragging them back inside the burning home. Witnesses heard him yell, "Let me die here," as the house was engulfed.
Direct actions taken which were alleged by the 28-year-old man, and those actions were intentional of keeping police and other responders and other neighbours out of the property whilst it was on fire, and with the intention of keeping the kids inside the premises whilst the fire was happening.
Heisman remains in an induced coma under police guard in hospital, where he's being treated for burns and smoke inhalation. Less than a week after the government announced a refreshed board for Kāinga Ora, the Public Housing Agency is facing more accusations of not looking after good tenants. Zane Small spoke to a woman in Waikato whose prized sports car was allegedly smashed up by her Kāinga Ora neighbour, who is still living next door.
It was her pride and joy. But while away on holiday, Leslie McIlroy's beloved Nissan was allegedly smashed up by her neighbour. The vehicle was parked up outside her Kāinga Ora home in Morrinsville. Leslie confronted her neighbour. She says she was threatened and called the police.
The police did go and see her, and then they just left, and I was quite taken back why wasn't she taken away? Because she'd been outside, she'd been abusing me. She was saying she was going to smash my effing head in, and yet she was still there.
She's terrified in her own home.
Constant reminder, it's awful. I look out my window and she's right there.
Police told us a 59-year-old woman was charged with intentional damage. What would you have liked Kāinga Ora to do when you complained?
Perhaps turned up at my house, answered the phone, rang me back, acknowledged my emails, but none of that had happened.
In a statement, Kāinga Ora acknowledged it had received complaints and described the neighbours' behaviour as unacceptable. The housing agency said a warning was issued and it could move to end the neighbours' tenancy if the disruptive behaviour continues. It's been more than 3 months since the government instructed Kāinga Ora to take stronger measures against persistent antisocial behaviour by tenants. And Kāinga Ora told us it is doing that. It said frontline staff have been using tools available to them under the Residential Tenancies Act earlier and more frequently after changes were made to support that approach.
There should be more gratitude. People should be taking care of these homes. We've got cheaper rent, so we actually have a roof over our head. It's not our God-given right to have a beautiful, cheap accommodation. So I do feel that we should be more respectful and more grateful.
Well, Zane joins us now. Kia ora, Zane. What will it mean for Kāinga Ora to have a refreshed board?
Well, Sam, today is the very first day of the refreshed Kāinga Ora board. I'm told they went through an induction process today. And I'm sure they'll be aware that in the letter of expectations released by the Housing Minister last week, it explicitly says they need to strengthen management of disruptive tenants. Now, looking at Leslie's case, Kāinga Ora told me they haven't been made aware of any issues since, but they said they will be keeping a close eye on the situation. It's worth noting that the neighbour was eventually arrested and charged and bailed to the address, but was told to have no contact with Leslie.
Zane, thanks so much. There have been celebrations in France after a left-wing alliance managed to keep the far right from power. After a strong showing in the first round of the election, Marine Le Pen's national rally slipped to third due to tactical voting and candidates standing aside. ITV's James Mates has the details.
The far right gathered tonight to watch a countdown to the exit poll, ready to cheer a famous victory. The projected results were not, though, what they wanted or expected. The party of Marine Le Pen had dreamt of power. The looks on their faces told the story as they trailed in third. Jordan Bardella was thought by some, feared by many, to be France's next prime minister. Tonight, he said the electoral fix put in place by President Macron has thrown France into the hands of the extreme left. President Macron took a great gamble, which has worked out better than some had feared, but is still no victory. Because while the far right has been beaten back, an alliance of the left and the far left will now claim they have a right to a share in the government of France. What happened here was a concerted national campaign of tactical voting, in which a huge turnout of French voters threw their support behind any candidates but Le Pen's. The beneficiary was Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who for years has fought his corner on the far left of French politics and is likely to lead the biggest group in Parliament. His policy agenda, though, is wildly different from President Macron's, and coherent policy making may turn out to be next to impossible. Tonight in central Paris, far left supporters had been expecting to be on the streets protesting. In the event, they are celebrating. But the reality is that while France may have avoided a far-right government, it may struggle now to form any government at all.
On our first show on Saturday, we brought you the story of Genesis Te Kuru White, TK, a leader of Black Power movement Whakatānea who defies many gang stereotypes. He doesn't wear a patch, has a degree and tutors students at Waikato University. Tonight we hear why he thinks the government's tough on gangs approach will be damaging for children and families, and why the Justice Minister says he's okay with limiting gang members' human rights. Genesis Tukuru White was born into gang life. His father was one of the long-term leaders of Black Power movement Bay of Plenty during its early years at war with the mongrel mob. Patched since 16, TK still heavily involved with Black Power movement whakatane, but is trying to shake off the label of gang member.
I actually make very, very clear to people that no, I'm not a gang member. I whakapapa the Tini o Meketu movement.
Okay, so you're not a gang member, but you are the leader of Black Power movement.
There are many rangatira in our space.
So yes, he's still part of the gang, but says it's his whānau. And he's put away his patch in a move in step with his late father's vision.
My father would say to us, the patches will become a thing of the past. And the Black Power movement member of the future will be walking around with a suit and a tie, occupying spaces like this.
Genesis Tekuru TK White.
When TK recently graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree from Waikato University, members of several rival gangs were on campus to celebrate his achievement. The day was peaceful, but new laws progressing swiftly through Parliament would make wearing or even holding gang patches or insignia in public like this illegal, punishable by a fine and up to 6 months in prison.
If these policies become law, it's going to be very damaging for families. And I think that's what's important to understand here, for families, not gang members, for families. For mum, dad, brother, sister, nanny, koro, uncle, auntie. Yeah, you're not dealing with monsters here, you're dealing with people.
Black Power members I spoke to believed around 50% of the membership would comply with the patch ban, but still feel it's important to wear them for ceremonial purposes, like graduations, tangihanga and funerals.
Yeah, well, we're going to be limiting their human rights, but we're also reflecting on the fact that people have the right to be able to go around their business without fear and intimidation.
Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith wants to go further too, giving police the power to stop gang members from associating or communicating for 7 days, and the courts the power to stop gang members convicted of serious crimes associating or communicating for up to 3 years, even if they're related.
You really think you could keep a brother and a sister, or a mother and a father away from each other for 3 years?
But the Justice Minister says there are exceptions to the non-consorting law.
It's been defined in the legislation, and it's children, whangai, children. There's a list, but it doesn't go forever, and that's because we need to have an effective non-consorting order regime. But the close family members are excluded.
The definition of close family is where this new legislation may face increased scrutiny. But the Minister is standing his ground while gangs are prepared to do the same.
We've lasted this long, and we're still here. And this isn't the first time that someone's come along and told us that they're going to come down hard on our people. We're survivors, we're resilient. We're also very, very clever too.
Resilient and clever, 2 words that will give the government plenty to ponder as it moves to pass the new legislation into law by year's end. Well, it is time now for a look at your weather, and it was a foggy, frosty but calm start to the day, Heather.
A classic winter's day. The fog was a little bit annoying though, not clearing Manapōuri and Hamilton till this afternoon. Once it did finally lift, they joined the rest of the country with settled weather. A few clouds, but dry. Reason being is we have a huge high pressure system which has arrived for the school holidays, and this is very, very good news because it's here all week. All the details a little bit later in the hour.
Thanks, Heather. Coming up, there has been no let-up to the protests or the killing as 9 months of war is marked with renewed calls for a ceasefire. Pests controlling pests. New research shows possums and rats are helping to stop the spread of wilding pines. And Biden remains defiant as more Democratic Congress members join calls for him to step aside. Welcome back, and a warning, there are distressing images in this next story. Protesters in Israel are continuing to pressure the government for a hostage deal as negotiations for a possible ceasefire gain momentum. Meanwhile, in Gaza, at least 16 people were killed in an Israeli airstrike on a UN-run school building. Channel 4's Harry Fawcett reports.
Marking 9 months since the October the 7th attacks, across Israel, what protest leaders are calling a national day of disruption. Thousands demanding the government do a deal with Hamas, end the war and bring Israeli hostages home from Gaza.
The government is doing everything they can not to get them out. The soldiers, the army, all of the heads of security have said that we do not need to be in Gaza anymore. It's time to move on.
That sense of possibility fueled by a reported shift in Hamas's negotiating position, no longer demanding Israel rules out a resumption in fighting ahead of a ceasefire, instead seeking a written commitment from mediators that post-truce talks would go on until a permanent end to the fighting is agreed. Israel's Prime Minister, though, suggesting gaps remain between the two sides, his intelligence chief reportedly rejecting Hamas's latest demand in talks in Qatar on Friday. Polls suggest at least 2/3 of Israelis now want a ceasefire deal, more than half blaming the lack of one on a Prime Minister trying to placate far-right coalition partners. Blood on his hands, they say. In Gaza, the blood is still fresh, still real. Noor has just seen her friend Malak killed in an Israeli airstrike on a UN school in the Nusayrat refugee camp. Waves of grief subsume the classroom where they'd been sheltering, Malak's brother overwhelmed. Israel's military said it struck what it called Hamas terrorists operating in structures in the area of the school. Thousands of displaced civilians had been sheltering here. Gaza's health ministry said at least 16 people were killed.
A new study has found one pest is helping to eradicate another. Researchers were surprised to find possums like to eat the seeds of invasive wilding pines, stopping them from spreading. Senior reporter Juliet Speedy reports.
Wilding conifers are an invasive species in this country, so are possums. But now one is helping eradicate the other.
The fact that they're helping to remove the seed from the environment is just another way that we can prevent conifers from spreading.
The seeds are so tiny they're more suited to the dinner plates of rats and mice.
It was really surprising to find that possums in particular were eating these seeds.
Which helps to stop the spread of pines.
It would have been better news if we were finding that native animals were eating these conifer seeds. But any news that is reducing the amount of seed in the environment is good news as far as I'm concerned.
So essentially our pest rodents are helping eradicate our pest wilding pine populations. But researchers say this in no way means we don't still need to eradicate possums.
We still want to get rid of them. What we want to make sure is just that when they've been removed from the environment, we are adequately prepared and we're investing in conifer removal as well, so that we don't result in like a population boom in conifers.
Carlin says recent government cuts in spending on pine eradication is a worry.
Meaning that we're going to lose that momentum and potentially it will become an issue again in the future.
And while possums aren't the solution long term, they'll need to find other ways to get rid of the pines so there isn't a further population boom.
Stay with us. We're going live to Barcelona after the break to find out from Grant Dalton how Team New Zealand's settling into their new base. A woman's arrested over an alleged hate crime on a bus. And in sport, we've got more on Lulu Sun's historic victory at Wimbledon and how she plans to make it to the semis. This is 3 News. If you've just joined us, here are our top stories so far tonight. MP Darlene Tana has resigned from the Greens, but co-leader Chloe Swarbrick wants her to also resign from Parliament. It follows an investigation into her involvement in alleged migrant exploitation at her husband's bike business. Lulu Sun has become the first Kiwi woman to make it through to the singles quarter-final at Wimbledon after beating British hope Emma Raducanu. And there have been celebrations in France after the left wing worked together to keep the far right from power. Left-wing parties tactically stood aside candidates that would split the vote. A 39-year-old woman has been arrested over the assault of a 16-year-old boy on an Auckland bus last month that police now allege was a hate crime. The teenage victim said he lost 3 teeth after being hit in the face with a metal pole. He said his attacker used racial slurs. The accused will appear at the Manukau District Court tomorrow. It's hoped medicinal cannabis products will become cheaper after Cabinet updated regulations for approved growers. The changes mean exports now only need to meet the standards of the importing jurisdiction rather than the New Zealand quality standard. The Medicinal Cannabis Council says it'll allow growers to scale up their manufacturing and eventually lead to lower costs for patients. US President Joe Biden has been out rallying in the swing state of Pennsylvania, telling crowds he has no plans to abandon his re-election bid. It comes as 4 more Democratic members of Congress joined calls for Biden to quit the race over concerns about his health and age.
The performance on the debate stage, I think, rightfully raised questions among the American people about whether the president has the vigor to defeat Donald Trump. He should be mopping the floor with Donald Trump. Joe Biden is running against a criminal. It should not be even close, and there's only one reason it is close, and that's the president's age.
The pressure on Biden is expected to intensify in the coming days as lawmakers return to Washington from a holiday recess and donors consider whether to continue funding his campaign. Team New Zealand's up and running in Barcelona, the America's Cup defenders becoming the 6th and final team to hit the water. Preliminary racing begins in a few short weeks' time. Team CEO Grant Dalton has been flat out most of the year getting the team and the event, of course, ready. And he joins us now live from the team's base in Barcelona. Kia ora, Grant. So how ready are you and the team?
We're pretty good, actually. Travelled quite well. The boat got here a couple of weeks ago safely. We're out sailing every day. We're watching the opposition, who actually look pretty handy, and I think everybody's in a good spot.
So how is the boat going? You've held off revealing your foils until you got there. Have you got them on? How fast are they?
Well, they're certainly faster than the last ones, but everybody's like that. But at the moment, they're so covered in cameras that the drag on them doesn't allow us to really check on the numbers. But you know, on the computer, which is where it all starts, they look just fine, and we've pushed it pretty hard, like we always do. They're certainly slightly more radical than anybody else is running at the moment.
Oh, that's good to hear. OK, so you're feeling quite confident.
Well, yes, but, you know, guarded, of course, because this is a sports event.
I hear you. Hey, look, I have to ask, as the America's Cup approaches, some Kiwis perhaps haven't forgiven you for taking this event away from New Zealand. What do you have to say to them from a very sunny Barcelona?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, of course, but what I would say is I think we foresaw quite early what the economy in New Zealand was going to be like about now, and, you know, I don't know, certainly in my lifetime I don't remember it being this bad, and we could never have expected taxpayers to put money in. If you win the event like we have, it's $100 million just to run the event, and in New Zealand that would be impossible to raise.
Came down to funding, didn't it? And can you tell us how much more have you been able to raise by taking the Cup to Barcelona? Are we looking at a few more million, tens of millions, more than that?
Yeah, significant amount, actually, because we're running the Youth and Women's America's Cup. We're building a series of hydrogen boats. We're launching a World Championship of e-sport where we're going to put the winners onto a boat. So we've been able to do a range of things that we would not have been able to do to increase the sport and increase their visibility being here in Barcelona through sponsorship.
Can you put a number on it for us, Grant? How much more you've managed to bring in?
Well, the team's fully funded and the event's fully funded. Probably, you know, 20 million Kiwis, something like that. Probably more. I just have to do the numbers, but yeah, it's probably north of 20 million Kiwi more being raised.
OK. Hey, you've got the women's team, the first ever Women's America's Cup team. How are they tracking? I understand that the Kiwi women's team's being affected by the Olympics.
Well, affected, I don't know whether it's affected, it's actually an advantage because, we've got the best the country's got. They're out training at the moment, the other teams, and so I noticed a couple of the women of our team are here at the moment. So we'll be out soon, our 40s arrive and they'll start training straight after the Olympics. What I can say is that it's going to be a hot competition because there's a lot of talented women and youth as well. So it's a, regattas within a regatta, but I think with them being live on Warner Brothers Discovery and also Stuff, you're going to see some really good racing between the youth and the Women's America's Cups as well.
OK, we're looking forward to it. You managed to get the plug in there. Well done. Thank you so much. That is Team CEO Grant Dalton. They're live with us from Barcelona. Well, Ollie's here now with a look ahead at sport. Look, they're still testing. They haven't got the cameras off those foils yet. Hopefully they're a lot faster, though. What do you think?
He's a confident man, Grant Dalton, isn't he? He'll be extremely confident. I'm sure he's reminding the opposition over there as well. They were pretty quick a few years ago. I'd be interested to see how they can go in Barcelona.
I heard him talking about shaving minutes off, so we'll see how they get on. But look, we're hoping that's going to be a big success story, but we're talking today about another big Kiwi success story. Lulu Sun, she's amazing, isn't she?
Yeah, how good is this story? All the way from little old Tiana in the South Island. A few years ago, Kiwis would have had no idea who Lulu Sun was, but such has been her rise and her performance at Wimbledon, and it is so cool to see. That is a massive stage for her to perform on as well, Sam. That's 15,000 people packed in to centre court there at Wimbledon, so she is doing amazingly, flying the Kiwi flag. We'll have more on her stunning run after the break. She's the first Kiwi woman to make it to the quarterfinals at Wimbledon, with her ability to handle the pressure winning her fans. And TJ Perenara is ruled out of Saturday's second test against England, but the news isn't all bad for the All Blacks halfback.
Welcome to a new Swift world with Suzuki and 3News Sport.
New Zealand's latest sporting sensation is still coming to terms with her history-making run at Wimbledon. As we reported earlier, Lulu Sun is the first Kiwi woman to make the singles quarter-finals, upsetting local hope Emma Raducanu. The 23-year-old not only overcoming her British opponent, but the 15,000-strong crowd cheering her on. Lucy Thompson has the action.
The emotion poured out of Lulu Sun as she took in Wimbledon's famed centre court. Moments after a history-making win, she was struggling to find the words.
I'm kind of tired, so can't really put it into words.
The Kiwi qualifier, the clear underdog heading into the match, up against crowd favourite Emma Raducanu. But it didn't take her long to silence the stadium with her thunderous forehand, taking out the first set 6-2.
Oh, she takes it so well. All the power and precision coming from the New Zealander.
But the tenacious Brit took back some of that power in the second, prevailing 7-5 and levelling the match 1 set apiece.
It's long. Raducanu has it. Into a decider. We will go.
If you give Emma, the time, she's going to take advantage of it and she's going to take the opportunity, which she did.
But the qualifier kept her cool during the third, and despite a lengthy medical timeout from Raducanu, Sun went on to claim the third and final set 6-2.
No, she has it.
The victory still sinking in for the first-time Grand Slam quarter-finalist, who's refusing to get too far ahead of herself.
I wasn't thinking, I'm going to be in the quarterfinals of Wimbledon. I honestly was just like, okay, first match, and I got through it and I was like, okay, next match.
That'll be against world number 37, Donna Vekic of Croatia.
Donna Vekic is into the Wimbledon Championships quarterfinals.
A player ranked 86 places higher than Sun. That said, underdog status has worked in her favour so far.
Has it what a legend. Well, tennis officials here are hoping the knock-on effect of Sun's success at Wimbledon will be felt back home. Natasha Payne spoke with Tennis New Zealand's Gareth Archer, who was up early watching the match.
Yeah, it was just so exhilarating. I mean, we've been watching her obviously right since the qualifying, and just each match she's taken it as it comes, and it really was no surprise, to be fair. We knew she had the game for it, but wow, what a moment for Kiwi tennis.
What impact, I guess, do you think this win will have in New Zealand?
I mean, it's so hard to say, but we'd love to think that, you know, the courts start really filling up from here, you know, right through to the ASB Classic. We've got a huge sort of build of momentum now. Lulu's going to be, you know, she's going to be on the stage for a while now. She's just announced herself at Wimbledon. You know, we're excited to see how far that can go, and hopefully it means, you know, lots more kids on court, lots more coaches getting out there and getting amongst it, and tennis just becoming, you know, that big summer sport that we all hope it can be.
And lastly, her next match in the quarterfinals, what do you think she has to do to make sure she gets the win?
Yeah, well, I mean, the good thing is she's played a lot of matches on grass now. Obviously, you don't get too many times to play on grass, but so she's played through that qualifying. She's actually been through a lot of tough moments, so she just has to build on that, draw on that experience that she's had from these last 7 matches. She's got a killer of a forehand, lefty forehand, which is hard to play sometimes. She just has to keep doing what she's been doing, and she can definitely come out on top again.
Lydia Ko and Ryan Fox will once again fly the Kiwi flag at the Olympics, with both named in the New Zealand team. It will be Ko's 3rd Games, with the 27-year-old looking to complete the set of medals, having won silver in Rio and bronze in Tokyo. Fox is also heading to his 3rd Olympics and will arrive on the back of a strong year, making the cut at all 3 majors. The pair will be joined by Daniel Hillier, who's been named to compete in his 1st Olympics. TJ Perenna's return to the All Blacks has lasted just 40 minutes, ruled out of this weekend's 2nd test against England with a knee injury. That's seen a call-up for young Crusaders halfback Noah Hotham, but while it's a blow for Perenna, there's hope his return could come sooner than first thought. Noah Hotham was given a warm welcome to All Blacks camp this morning. Monday's gym session probably isn't where he thought he'd be starting the week, but TJ Perenna's knee injury has forced the All Blacks' hands.
It looked pretty nasty, didn't it, when it happened? But he's, you know, better than expected. Waiting on a specialist to determine exact return to play dates, but it's way better than expected. That will be music to the ears of both Perenna and the All Blacks. His grimace at the time of the injury painted a far bleaker picture, but Jason Holland wouldn't rule him out beyond this weekend's test.
Or this series at all?
Not this weekend. This stage, not this weekend.
Despite Perenna's confirmed absence from the match day 23 this weekend, it's still expected the 81 Test All Black will find a way to influence the team.
TJ is a massive leader in our group, and his just presence, his voice and his knowledge of the game and is very, very valuable.
As will his mentorship in a week that will see a new halfback blooded. Finlay Christie is likely to be handed the number 9 jersey this week, meaning a probable debut off the bench for Cortez Ratama.
But he realises a step up, and he's been awesome for the last 2.5 weeks since we've been together. So he's diligent, making sure he's all over everything.
He'll need to be again. The All Blacks can expect England to meet fire with fire at a place they haven't lost at in nearly 30 years. Well, for years he was synonymous with winning, but Lewis Hamilton's had to wait a whopping 945 days to get another one, ending his drought with victory at his home Grand Prix at Silverstone. In his last British Grand Prix with Mercedes before joining Ferrari, Hamilton displayed all his class, taking his chances when teammate George Russell was forced to pull out, holding off Red Bull's Max Verstappen to claim his 104th career victory.
We've said it before, here's a 9th for you. Lewis Hamilton wins the British Grand Prix. What a victory! Hamilton is back.
You've got to continue to dig deep even when you feel like you're at the bottom of the barrel. I mean, there's definitely been days between 2021 and here where I didn't feel like I was good enough, or whether I was going to get back to where I am today.
Hamilton's 9th win at Silverstone surpasses Michael Schumacher for the most at a single circuit. Warriors enforcer Mitch Barnett's in line to make his State of Origin debut for New South Wales in next week's series decider in Brisbane. Blues coach Michael Maguire has included Barnett on the interchange bench, meaning he's certain to get his first taste of Origin football. Barnett had been included as 18th man for the first 2 matches, but failed to see any game time. New South Wales hasn't won a series decider at Suncorp Stadium since 2005. Great news for Mitch Barnett. I've got to say, there's only one story in town today, though, Sam. Lulu Sun. How good is that? Cannot wait for that quarterfinal.
Go, Lulu. The whole country is in behind her. I'm just glad that we get to claim her now.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Ollie. Now, we didn't quite think that this next story qualified as sports, but American wrestler John Cena has officially announced his retirement from the WWE. He told the crowd he had seen incredible waves of prosperity and tremendous hardship in the organisation since he joined more than 2 decades ago.
And I'm here tonight to announce that in Las Vegas, WrestleMania 2025 will be the last WrestleMania I compete in. I know, that's a lot to take in, right?
Cena said he intended to remain part of the WWE family in some capacity, but felt at his end physically. 4 NASA astronauts have emerged from a year locked in a bunker in Texas, designed to simulate future missions to Mars. The volunteers lived in isolation in Chapia 1, a 3D printed 150 square metre habitat. The crew went on fake spacewalks, grew their own vegetables and carried out experiments.
And I'm grateful for the chance to live the idea that we must utilize resources no faster than they can be replenished and produce waste no faster than they can be processed back into resources. We cannot live, dream, create, or explore on any significant time frame if we don't live these principles.
The head of the centre said they have a lot more to learn and there will be 2 more missions in 2025 and 2027. Well, it is time now for 3 News weather, and you've had some big southerly swells around today, Heather.
Yeah, we have. Fortunately, though, the heavy swell warning has expired, up to 5.5 metres for coastal Waiata Upper. But there are still going to be waves tonight, up to 3.5 metres for the next couple of hours. Now, as for the weather, what a week to be off school. Widespread high pressure for the entire week. So very calm conditions, but there will still be clouds and isolated showers. But the most common weather elements will be frost and fog. I'll explain where in the full forecast next. Kia ora, welcome back. Weather this week is really quite chilled, both formally and informally. High pressure arrived today and it's anchored in place through the week. Friday and Saturday it starts to shimmy southeast, but even over the weekend we'll still have a ridge over us. Essentially we have calm, settled, cold but dry weather for the week. The only concerning feature of a setup like this is fog. We saw it this morning and it is back tonight, but not all of us are dry. Tonight there will be isolated showers for some in the South Island, for the north and deep south. Everyone else is fine with frost forming and light winds. In the morning alongside the frost there'll be areas of fog, thanks partially to the light winds, but the day is dry with only isolated showers over Fiordland. Now there's not a lot going on for the North Island tonight, just a few clouds and just isolated showers for a few in the south, north and east. Winds are light inland with a south to southwester along the coast. Morning cloud and fog features. It does lift and the day itself is mainly fine. Just again, isolated showers up the very top and coastal Gisborne in the morning. So morning fog for the Waikato and areas of fog for Auckland too. There will be the odd shower from late morning for those north of Whangaparaoa and the Coromandel Peninsula. Winds will be from the east or northeast. Tauranga, Whakatane, your day is perfect. It's fine, light winds, high of 15. Everyone else will start with morning fog and frost, but it all clears by midday with no wind. Frosty for Masterton and Dannevirke and sheltered spots around Hawke's Bay. Morning cloud there too, but it is clearing and then developing for Gisborne in the afternoon. Winds will be light for everyone. Morning frost for most, especially those in sheltered spots. Taumaranui, you'll have morning fog too. The day though is mostly fine. Winds are light, but Wellington you'll have a southerly which will ease in the afternoon. Now the day starts good for the northwest of the South Island, apart from morning fog for Reefton. There will be the chance of showers for everyone south of Nelson, most of them hitting from the afternoon. Now it is chilly out east, morning frost for all of Canterbury. The entire day though is sunny, blue sky, winds are light, just a slight nor'easter developing in the afternoon for Christchurch. Severe frost for Alexandra, the normal level of frost everywhere else. It will be a gorgeous, crisp and beautiful day, light winds, nothing else really going on. So Dunedin, great day, fine. Frost for those spots that get cold enough and warming, if you can call it that, to a feels like high of 8. It's similar for Christchurch with morning frost and a fine, clear and calm morning. There will be a slight nor'easterly which develops in the afternoon. Now, Wellington, you'll be fine as well. Just a few clouds in the morning and frost for sheltered spots. There is a southerly that'll die out after midday. Now, for those in sheltered areas here, you'll wake to frost, but the day will be fine once the morning cloud clears, all with light winds. The place to be, Tauranga. And just like today, tomorrow is fine and calm. 0 wind, warming to 15, which will feel like 13. Now, fog settles overnight around Hamilton. It will shift, though, just partly cloudy across the day. Winds are light and your high of 15 will actually feel like 15. And conditions are right again for fog to form overnight around Auckland too. Not for everyone, just the usual spots. Odd showers hit from Whangaparaoa north from late morning. All right, over to Oz. A trough over eastern spots are delivering rain or showers to most, and it's a little wet too at times for the Pacific, mainly for parts of Samoa and Vanuatu. What a week to be on school holidays. We have 0 going on, just isolated showers for Northland, isolated showers possible too on Thursday and Friday for the east, and isolated showers for Taranaki, most likely Wednesday. Nothing significant though. Now the south is also good with cloud forming along the east coast late in the day Friday, and I'm pretty sure this outlook will mean excellent conditions to hit the snow. What a week to be in Queenstown. Now, if you are in Queenstown or anywhere for that matter, we want your photos. Make us jealous. We're working. You're on holiday. Send them to weatherpics@stuff.co.nz.
Thanks so much, Heather. It looks like it's going to be a bluebird up the mountain. Alrighty. A meteor has lit up the night sky in northern Turkey. The glittering fireball was captured in numerous videos posted online. They show the sky illuminated in flashes of green as it travelled through the clouds. Now, earlier in the program, we asked you if you thought gangs should still be permitted to wear their patches for ceremonial purposes. Now, lots of you are having your say. Currently, we've got 34% saying that they should be able to. Well, that is 3 News for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. You can get in touch with us by emailing newsroom@stuff.co.nz or head to the Stuff website. I'm Samantha Hayes for Marie, and I'll see you again tomorrow.